Okay. I don't know. I haven't been saying hello. Hello, everybody. um, so you haven't been to. So I'm Gena McCarthy, and I'm a Dharma sister of Chandra's. I'm covering for her. So we'll meditate, and then I'm going to give a talk, and then I'll teach you a somatic resource. There'll be some dyads, and the night will have a big focus on compassion. So, okay. Um, let's see. First, let's just arrive. So, invite you to feel your feet and to feel your seat. And to feel the earth underneath you. And to feel her strength and resilience and her dedication to thriving life. To feel that under you and in you, in your earth body. And then to notice the loving wisdom energy that's here to support you tonight on your path of owning and expressing the full beauty of who you are for the benefit of all beings. Who is here tonight supporting you in your practice? You might notice gently. Could be ancestors, loving wisdom beings, heart connections. And then we also want to connect with our gratitude for the people who have stewarded this land that we're sitting on, the Wichan, Lisan, Ohlone people who steward it and continue to steward it, particularly through the local Sagorate leadership, rematriating, caring for our earth, caring for each other. So now, invite you to sit in a comfortable posture. I'm going to set the time, and we'll go into a 25-minute meditation. Shamatha. You might want to, if it works for your body tonight, you can certainly lay down if you want. And if you're sitting up, you might want to think of your spine as a stack of gold coins, one on top of the other. You might want to pull your chin in a tiny bit, just supporting that whole relationship of your spine, supporting your chest, your heart to open, your belly to soften, to rest, relax, and your heart to soften. And then beginning to notice your breath, just the natural way that it is. If it helps you to start with a few deep breaths, that's fine. And if not, just going into watching it naturally go in and out. If you like, you can open your mouth slightly with your tongue, the upper part of your mouth, just supporting your meridians a little more into alignment. And taking a moment to appreciate yourself for coming tonight, for appreciating yourself for caring about waking up and cultivating more compassion in your life and in our lives as a result. Taking a moment to appreciate yourself for being here. Again, returning to our heart, you can also get in touch with your heartfelt motivation to practice for the benefit of all beings. Knowing we're completely interconnected. Noticing the thoughts and the feelings that arise as you're focusing on your breath. Maybe you get lost in one of them. And then gently coming back to your breath, letting go, the practice of letting go over and over. So you don't have to fight or resist whatever thoughts or feelings arising. It's fine for them to be here. You're just returning to the breath. You're letting go, watching the flow. Some of you are feeling your breath, noticing it in your nostrils. Some of you are noticing it in your bellies. or in your chest. That subtle movement. What is your natural breath pattern like? Is it slow? Is it fast? Is it deep? Is it shallow? What is it like? And then the amazing expansiveness and openness with the breath, where you just know you're here in this moment, just like this, and the perfectness of that. Everything is welcome in your meditation, in your wholeness. Spaciousness is welcome. Your shadow is welcome. Your breath magnetizing you back. Your breath breathing you. Welcoming the feelings. They can meditate with you. Connecting more and more with your awareness, noticing the fair witness, this part of you that's noticing, this part of you that's aware, bigger than your feelings, bigger than your thoughts. Pure awareness. nourishing yourself by letting yourself rest in this process. Compassion towards yourself if you're struggling, for the struggle, the suffering of that. And you can play gently with letting go of the breath and just sitting in open awareness, awareness of awareness. Whatever most supports you, follow that. It might be to follow your breath, or it might just be to let go. Either way is fine. Stick with what really supports you. Coming back gently from the place you just supported yourself to connect with. The place that's always there for us as a resource. So I've been talking for a few weeks now. This is my third session on the connection between Buddhism, birth, and the mother path, and our practice. And so tonight I'm going to do a little more of that and focus on connecting more the maternal lineage and how that relates to our practice. And first, though, I'm going to start with teaching you a somatic resource that's very helpful for when we get triggered or when we're having trouble being present, when we're encountering an obstacle. And tonight, this resource will be focused on compassion. And so the way you do it is you think of an energy that really makes you feel accepted. You really feel compassion from. And it can be a person or an ancestor or a pet or a spiritual being, whatever your beliefs are, a tree. And so first you think of this resource of compassion where you don't feel judged, you feel completely accepted for all your parts. And so just take a moment and see if you find that. And then if you don't find that, it's fine to let me know if you're stuck or anything like that. So has everybody found one? So thanks. Okay, great. All right, looks like it. Okay. So what you're going to do in a few moments is you're going to tap your hands back and forth, and you're going to connect with that compassionate resource the way you are right now. So you might feel great, you might feel lousy, you might feel anywhere in between. You're not going to try to change how you feel. You're just bringing that compassion to be with you how you are right now. And then the next thing about it is this is based on EMDR, which is a trauma treatment practice. So you're not doing it to process. You're doing it to support your nervous system to calm down, calm body, support your practice. So if you start to process, then stop. If you start to kind of get into a negative place, then stop. You're just doing it to feel your body starting to feel even more grounded, even more centered. And that's really it. So I just want to say one thing about my affect tonight. I don't know if those of you who have heard me before, you might notice, you might not, but I really had very hard news before I came of a beloved friend who is kind of turning towards letting go. And so I know that's affecting me as I teach tonight. I just wanted to acknowledge that. So I'm usually a little more, okay. So anyway, here we go. So now we're going to do the practice. And so getting in touch with this compassionate resource. Then you're going to tap your legs back and forth about 10 or 12 times. And then you just notice how you feel after. So getting in touch. And then just tapping, connecting with that energy, how you are right now. And then when you feel complete, take a moment and notice how your body feels. So, what did you notice? Any shift, the same, a difference?
I was feeling like a little more like brightness, I guess, around me. Yeah.
Nice.
Like last week we did
Yeah.
similar exercise. I felt a little more grounded.
Right.
And this
Right.
time it was like a little more up here, but bright.
More open. So, great. Beautiful. It's not going to work for everybody all the time. It works for most people. Did anybody have any questions or?
What was the timing of, like you were going a bit slower?
Oh, it's because I'm slow tonight. Sometimes I go faster. It's you want to do it at the rate that's comfortable for you. So you could go slow or fast. It's really what you find comfortable. And sometimes it's going to be easier for you to do it at home, the first time. Any other question? Okay. Hannah, how was that?
Yeah, I still feel like I need more time to connect with whatever energy we're connecting with.
Yeah.
And then go into the tapping.
Good.
I actually find the tapping, it's hard to maintain the connection to whatever energy you're
Yes.
with.
Yes.
I think because I'm normally used to being quite still.
Yeah.
When I'm doing a practice like that. And then I start tapping, I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think a couple of things about that. It's a really useful somatic practice, but it's not the only one. And there's a lot of useful ones. And so there's a few things. For you, it might have been nicer if I had taken a little more time before we started tapping. Thanks. Sorry. And then the second thing is for some people do find the tapping distracting. And so if that's the case for you, you might want to do something else, like something that's very similar. It's literally putting your hands on your heart for a minute, for a whole minute. And we can do that now so you guys can see what that feels like. So you're just going to sit with yourself, but with that somatic support of your hand. Really, it's on your heart, and your heart can feel that. And that makes a difference. Let's try it for a minute. Mm. So that time was a little hard for me to practice it and count. So I should have set the alarm. So how was that for people? Did you notice any somatic changes?
Yeah, that one felt much more soothing.
Beautiful.
And the first one, you said an energy of acceptance. I mean, you also said compassion, but I was more into like acceptance of things exactly as they are.
Yeah.
Which felt a bit different than compassion.
Yeah.
And then the second one felt much more actively soothing.
Good. Good. Thank you. Good. Yeah. Um, please feel free not to answer the next question. So, would you feel comfortable to share what was your resource for compassion?
Yeah. Oh, for
The first
the
exercise.
one. Yeah. It was basically just myself, accepting myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm gonna I personified it into a bodhisattva of acceptance.
Yeah.
But I was like, secretly, it's actually just me accepting.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I really appreciate you saying that because that helps all of us. And we all help each other that way. So, I want to say gently, I think that was a setup for yourself. So it'll be easier to pick something outside of yourself. I mean, you can do that, and it's a great idea. But for the first time, that'd be kind of hard. So that's my thought. In the future, you can play with it if you want and see if that's useful for you or not. To use a different source. Okay, thanks. These things are really rich. They represent a whole lot, but I'm just sticking to the simple part of it tonight. So I'll dive in a little. So the last 3 weeks, I talked about how when we are spirit embodying into form, into our bodies, that's during the birth process. And so that's from conception on, growing in a womb and then being born and then how we're taken care of or not after. And so that's, in traditional Buddhism, precious human life. There's nothing more precious to have a human life where you can learn the Dharma and practice it. And so, in traditional cultures like indigenous cultures and Tibetan Buddhist cultures, that was so honored with prayers and rituals. And it was realized not only what a big deal that template was for us as human beings, like it's the original template, like in the middle of the mandala of our human life. That's the beginning. That's the strongest imprint of all our emotional, psychological, and spiritual patterns. And then you can mitigate those patterns or heal them, or if they were great patterns, you can incorporate them more. But they are the whole reason why our nervous system feels safe to open or wants to close with any situation. So besides past life karma. So it's very skillful to know about it and to be able to attend to it if and as it's arising, because it liberates a lot of primal energy and it brings more connection in our community of disconnection in the world. So I talked about that point, and I talked about also how it's very much embedded in Vajrayana Buddhism, how whenever you set up a deity practice in Vajrayana Buddhism, you're always initially purifying your womb birth of this lifetime and your womb birth of the last lifetime. So it was recognized, but in our culture, it isn't recognized much. And so, I was thinking today about what I was going to say, and I was thinking, none of us are monks or nuns. We do a lot of meditation practice, but we have a lot of disconnection in this culture. So it's in our interest to start to reconnect and know more about how all of this is affecting us and supporting each other about it. And the other point I brought up the last 2 sessions is that a woman's body is inherently designed during birth to be able to it's made to be able to experience enlightenment and pleasure, which is so different than what the culture really, you see on TV all the time and everywhere. And I know many people who have had that experience, and it's because just like with meditation, just like with really aware sexual experience, and just like with birth, it's all the same channel. It's all that mother channel. It's all the sexual reproductive channel. And so in Tibetan Buddhism, that mother channel, that central channel is called Tigre, compassion. And so when the mother's in labor or the woman's in labor, her brain waves are slowing down from beta, talk, to alpha, more relaxed, to theta and delta, and then gamma comes on. And that's where you have that experience of ecstasy, your mystical interconnectedness, kind of what we all practice often to have a moment of. And so it's definitely something we want to know about, just to be as supportive and kind in our community. If you know people who are pregnant or whatever, supporting them to have meditation practice or any practice that helps them feel safe to let go. Not that anybody should have these experiences, but it's good to know what's possible, because so much in patriarchy and so much in this culture, it's not known. So tonight I'm going to change the focus more to interestingly, the maternal child relationship, our relationships with our maternal lineage. And because that has so much to do with our feelings of belonging, our feelings of connecting with Mother Earth, our feelings of how we treat each other, again, our feelings of opening and closing. And many of us in this culture have had or have difficult relationships with our mothers. So usually in the retreats I offer, which are called Nourishing and Clearing Your Mother Path, I go into a much longer talk and I give you all the scientific basis for everything. I talk about how these imprints go into our implicit memory, but you can actually connect with them, and so on and so forth. And I explain more how all of these things are connected, but we don't have time for that tonight. So given that's our situation tonight, I'm going to just focus a little bit on our maternal lineage. And the way I'm going to do that is by offering you a guided meditation. In the retreat, I would offer a guided meditation where you would go back, and you would go back to the time of your indigenous people, and you would see what the birth practices and what the care practices after birth and before birth were like. And I would always encourage you, like I will tonight, to only take what's nourishing for you tonight, to only open to what's going to be useful for your growth tonight as you open to this information. And then I would take people back to their great grandmother's, grandparents' experience, and what was that like and what was going on then. Then I'd take them back to their grandparents and their mothers and their birth into this world this time. Tonight, I will only take you back to your mother's experience, being born, what it was like when she was being born. And what happens when we discover that is it reveals a lot more about why our parents are the way they are. So I'm going to start that in a moment. I just want to see if anybody has any questions, because I really said a lot of kind of large information that you might not have expected in a Dharma talk. And so I just want to see if anybody has any comments or questions, and then I'll go on.
When you mentioned the different types of sound waves,
Yeah,
could you
brain
go over
waves.
that, could you go over that just one
Sure,
more time?
sure,
Yeah,
sure.
I feel like I might have confused it with, there's like videos on YouTube that help you to concentrate, and I feel like they use some of the same language.
I think they do. Brainwave frequency. So when we meditate, we go from beta, the talking brainwave, it's a little faster, to alpha, which is a little slower and connects the intuitive and the rational part of the brain. So you can really travel when you go there, connect parts of yourself. And then it goes down to, if you keep, it can go down to theta, really slow brain waves. And that's usually where babies' brain waves are till they're about 3 years old. And that's why most of us don't remember in our explicit memory before we were 3. And then, unless we have some kind of practice that helps wake that up, connect it. And then it goes to delta, which is very, very slow. And then after delta, if you have theta and delta, if you're meditating like that, it's like the experiments they did on the monks that have meditated for years and years. Then you go into gamma, and gamma is really your experience of your interconnectedness with everything, and it's a very pleasurable experience. Does that answer your question? Good. I used to know the numbers, but I didn't bring them with me, and I definitely don't remember tonight. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to just do this simple guided meditation and invite you to get comfortable and to really make the intention to just receive whatever is really useful for your path tonight. The information, whatever might be useful for you. And so you can just, if you want, begin to breathe a little more deeply and fully and slowly. And go to a place you love to go to in this time of the year, this summertime. And you can let yourself feel how good it feels to feel relaxed, to feel calm, to be in a place of beauty. And maybe you hear the sounds, or maybe you smell some of the beautiful smells. But you just let yourself enjoy this place as much as you like. And if you do have a compassion guide that you got in touch with tonight, or you might make one up now, you could bring them with you. They could be with you so that it's a very comfortable, calm, enjoyable experience. And while you're in this place and you're breathing just as deeply and fully as is comfortable for you right now, you can let yourself go back to a time when your mother was born. And you might know the year she was born. It was probably quite a while ago, some time ago. And you might have a sense of what the conditions were like in her life at that time, in her parents' life. Maybe they were from this country, maybe they were in another country, maybe they had money, maybe they were struggling, maybe they were under stress, her parents, maybe they weren't, maybe they had a lot of support, maybe they didn't. So you're kind of noticing what their situation was. You're just getting a sense of it. And then you might get a sense of what it was like, the birth practices then, or what your mother's experience of being born was like. You might just get an intuitive feeling, or you might get an image, or you might get a sense of it. You're just kind of noticing, or what what it might have been like for her when she was growing and your grandmother before she was born, or what it was like for her when she was a newborn, and what it was like for her then when she picked up a lot. Were her parents very busy? Did they have support then? So you're just kind of noticing these things about your mom. So, and that time. So take all the time you need to complete this. And then when you're ready, come back to the room. Mm. Mm. And when you feel complete, come back to the room. Just taking what's useful for you tonight. And when you do return, I want to invite you to do one of those somatic practices you found useful, because this can be pretty evocative for people. So just doing that to support yourself. If it was a positive experience, you could still do one of the somatic practices to support yourself. Either way. Okay. So now we're going to do dyads and just share what's useful for you to share. And you'll each get 5 minutes, and then we'll do some group connecting. Unless anybody has a burning question now or comment. Okay. So, and do dyads with who you're comfortable with. You don't have to do it with somebody new tonight. Okay. So I'm going to set it for 5 minutes and, listen with kindness. And then we'll switch. Share what's useful, what has heart and meaning for you.
I feel super skeptical before I do it. Whether it's working, whether it's more, whether it's kind of like I'm just every time I'm also like surprised at what happens. It's like super empowering and have this thing that you can do for yourself. The travel for it, and have it literally with yourself. Feeling a lot of kind of energy around the travel. Felt like energy was just shining up this way. It was really, really clear. Because usually I feel like pulling a lot of energy maybe around from shoulders, I feel like lower chakras. Feel a bit light.
Hmm.
Would be able to like go deep into that without that kind of front or that part of that building and stuff. You seem really like, even like talking about something, you feel like you are free.
So now you just switch partners. Mm. Mm.
It's a good amount of time. Oh, yes. Yeah, still surprised when people are getting married, I think just because of COVID. Yeah, people are delayed things or had things on Yeah. That's pretty important. Yeah. My mom lives in Los Angeles, so pretty close, but still in the distance. I feel really at home, even my age feels really, I don't know, something about it. Yeah, yeah, I think feel like something feels very fascinating. You're right, you can tend I really like form of you. So I have sort of a weird contentment streak.
Mm. Mm.
I think your body knows that you feel like space is right for you. Something that's sort of airy or sparkling or whatever else. Body. Sudden stress and have feel like an overall flattened judgment, which is really like empowering. I don't know how to explain that. I think it's just because of like the diversity is an overall commitment. People even moving the US, like even if like you have tattoos, I don't know. It's not my business. It doesn't offend me. That's what it should say watching office. It's interesting. It's an actual story. What is it? Names?
Okay, we'll start to come back together. So that looked good. So we're a small circle tonight. So I want to invite you to check in, like maybe for a minute or two, what you received, what has heart and meaning for you to share what you received from that meditation. And also always feel free to pass. So I'll ask you to kick it off if that's okay.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Thanks.
I was telling Rob just with the tapping, I always feel like a sense of skepticism with tapping or EMDR
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But, I'm always surprised by how empowering it feels to have like a resource that you
Nice.
can do without any kind of equipment. It's really like, yeah, I think that sense of empowerment to use it more often.
Beautiful.
And I feel I get the most out of practices where I have this like skepticism. So there's also, if it doesn't work out, I'm okay with it too. There's no expectation that it'll work.
Yeah, yeah, nice. Yeah. And I'm wondering about the guided meditation in particular, how that was for you,
Yeah.
if you want to say.
I feel like it was definitely edgy, especially the second one.
Right.
The having like that guardian figure in the first part helped
Good,
protect her.
good.
Definitely helped me go a little bit deeper than we would have.
Yeah. I want to say at the end tonight, we're definitely going to take a few minutes to send compassion to ourselves and any of the parts that felt challenged, and also to anything we want to send to our maternal lineage, to our mothers or our grandmothers or anything like that, if we're called to do that, or even letting our compassion guides do that for us. Thanks, Bing. Appreciate that. Rob, how was it for you?
Yeah, I feel like I kind of went to a place I wasn't expecting and was feeling some of the kind of feelings that were embedded in the house that my mom grew up in. So I was really feeling that, and there was like more anger there than I was expecting, but love as well. So there were these contrasting feelings happening.
That's nice that you got to see that.
Yeah, yeah, and Bing helped like kind of reflect. Bing was like, "Well, we were kind of like talking about some heavy stuff, like but with this levity," and I was like, "Well, a couple of things came up. I had this like the friend that I've been picturing was quite supportive in
Good.
these moments, so that was quite nice to like have.
Beautiful.
And then also I'm heading back to like the East Coast to be with my mom.
Perfect.
So it's kind of so I'm like, oh, it's not just gonna kind of sit there and I don't know what to do. I kind of am like, grateful to have this opportunity.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great. Yeah. For a lot of the people that do this exercise, it does increase their compassion for their mothers, because it's like, oh, we never thought about. Yeah. Thank you. And not always, but sometimes. I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but how was it? What?
Brian.
Brian. How was it for you?
That was challenging. I don't have a good relationship with my mother,
Mm-hmm.
and also her childhood was not good.
Yeah.
So that was unexpected, and yeah, it was valuable. It did increase my compassion for her, but I almost wasn't ready for that.
Yeah. 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 So I encouraged you as much as possible to keep your, boundaries. Don't take in what's not useful for you tonight. But at the end, I hope the practice we do will help give you a little more container for all of that. Thank you.
But I also think it was really valuable.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm
And,
glad.
I guess I have a question. You mentioned
Please.
you teach stuff for connecting to these early imprints of my childhood.
Yeah.
My connection with my mother. So I'd be curious to hear.
Yeah.
I know you lead entire retreats and stuff. I just need like one useful.
Oh, about the imprints?
Yeah, like how to work with that.
Oh, yeah. That's a great question. So, yeah, so many ways. So, well, one of the things I use a lot is this tapping practice. And, or you could try that. And then let me be quiet with you just for a moment to get a little more of a sense. Yeah. So with you might, you weren't here the other 2 times I taught, you might want to cultivate a protector resource. And so that's someone that has your back and can growl or yell on your behalf. And so then when you find yourself triggered by an imprint, which happens to us all the time. So there's 2 ways to work with imprints: healing the root, so then it doesn't keep happening, and or taking care of yourself when you get triggered. So I'm telling you how to take care of yourself when you get triggered. So then you would bring that protector resource. You don't have to tap. You could imagine it coming and do that. And you could try the tapping again too on your own. Or I always give my email, Gena McCarthy 3@gmail.com. You can always call me for questions or referrals or whatever. At any rate, so then here you are, you're triggered in this imprint, and you bring in that resource. So now what you're doing, if you do that over and over again, is you're actually replacing that pattern with another pattern. You're not just calming your body down, you're actually cultivating that part of yourself, that's what I meant when I said this practice has a lot of really wonderful ways you can work with it. So that's one idea. There's more, but I think for tonight, yeah, good. There's a lot more. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Brian. Okay. What's your name? Lisa, good to meet you. Do you want to say anything?
I think when I thought about my mom, I just felt like pain in my body.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I was just like sitting with the discomfortable feelings.
Yeah. So sorry. Good. Got it. Thank you. Yeah. So, the first step is lots of compassion for those uncomfortable feelings. I've worked on this stuff for years. I'm 73. I remember I had done a lot of Vipassana, but I took a Vipassana retreat about these issues with Nancy Bardacke. And I'm sitting there and she said something like, feel how you feel about your mom. And I kind of felt nuts because I felt all this anger, but I hadn't been raised to feel safe to feel anger. So I was like, so it was very uncomfortable. So it's different for all of us. And the first thing really is to be compassionate to the uncomfortable feelings, just so there's space so they can move and you don't have to feel stuck in pain. So I leave you with that, Lisa. Yeah. Hi. What's your name?
Adam.
Hey, Adam.
There's a little technical thing that was causing some friction in my mind, which is actually probably completely beside the point, but regarding brainwave frequency.
Yeah.
And
Good. Wonderful.
Gamma is the highest frequency of these.
Fastest. It is the fastest.
It happens during ordinary consciousness. I wanted to just like
Thank you. Thank you. I want to hear more about that. You are right. It's the fastest one. The others are slow. And then what I studied, when you get hit delta and theta, then gamma comes on. I don't know if that's familiar for you. Are you a neuroscientist?
I know, but I spent a bunch of time.
Studying it.
Yeah, and experiments as well.
Thank you.
Gamma it's considered one of the neural correlates of consciousness. So every
Yeah.
conscious human every human who's not asleep or comatose or dead has gamma.
The potential, you have the possibility of,
No, it's
You're-
active.
you're saying it's all the time. Yeah.
When-
I'll have to study more. Okay.
Sorry,
No, please don't be sorry. I appreciate it. It's actually really hard to find out. I've studied a lot of books on this trying to get it. Yeah. So thank you. Okay.
Which is not to say that it doesn't get enhanced.
Yeah.
Certain guided meditation as do other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I found the contemplation of my mother's birth interesting and made me realize how much I don't know about the situation in which she was born.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have a conversation with her about it,
Uh-huh.
get more in touch with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And, some people feel very comfortable to talk about their own birth, and then some people don't. And so you'll pick that up right away. And if somebody had trauma, that's usually when they don't feel comfortable to talk about it, or if it was difficult, or if there was something hard about it. And then if it was a great experience, they usually love to talk about it and everything in between. Yeah. So just FYI. Okay. Thank you, Adam. Okay. Hannah.
Yeah, I also have a somewhat strained relationship with my mom right now, at least. And
Mhm.
so it was interesting to go and imagine her as a
Baby.
being born, and imagine her like in a hospital room with my grandma giving birth and with my grandfather. So I felt a lot of compassion for her.
Nice.
As a tiny little baby. And I did the hands on the heart grounding practice afterwards.
Beautiful.
Which felt nice because I had gone like really far out there. And
Yeah.
imagine a place like
Right.
with my mom. In this
Yeah. Yeah.
moment. So
Yeah.
it was really nice to
Come back.
and kind of like feel that compassion that was feeling for her, also for myself.
Beautiful.
In our connection.
Thank you. Yeah. Beautiful. All right. Well, this is perfect. We have just time to complete with some compassion for ourselves and if we want for others as well. So let's take a moment. And let's put our hands on our heart if you want. And you might get in touch with your compassion guide or support, or you might just feel your own capacity, your own heart's amazing capacity for compassion. You might get in touch with people you've met who are incredibly compassionate, or if you have spiritual beliefs about beings who are compassionate, I invite you to get in touch with all the sources of compassion that come easily to you tonight. And then first to just let that compassion bathe you right now for whatever you are feeling. Whatever you are feeling, let there be compassion and spaciousness for it, as much as it's just right for you right now. Start there. Compassion and spaciousness for these different feelings that are just a part of you. They're not all of you. They arise and they go. And some of them are very uncomfortable for us to experience. So bringing that compassion to ourselves for any difficult experiences right now. And you can imagine it any way you like a blanket of white light, or a soft blanket of white light, or just loving white light pouring all over your body, or in the place where you most feel the discomfort. And if you feel comfortable, you can bring the compassion to that as well, the appreciation of that. And then, if you feel called to it, you can continue and send the compassion to your mothers or to your grandmothers or to your family. Or if that doesn't really feel useful to you, continue sending the compassion to yourself. Either one works just as well. There's no shoulds. You're really honoring your authenticity. And that's always the most beautiful offering you can give, the true offering of how we really are. Hmm. Then taking all the time you need to complete this practice, come back to the room, remembering all of it. Hmm. It's been such a pleasure to be with all of you tonight and to be with this series. And I look forward to seeing you again wherever our paths meet. And I will be here again, and it'll be in the calendar at some point. So you have my email if you have any questions. All right. So we'll take a moment to complete the night. Thank you. Thank you all, grandparents. Thank you all, the loving wisdom teachers that we have and the helpers. Thank you to this community that we created with each other tonight. Thank you for this time together, for our practice, for practicing together. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Louder than I expected, but felt great to do.